Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of August 24th to the 30th of 2020. All right, so this week we have a lot going on astrologically, a lot of aspects in which we'll talk about. But the most important thing is that we are in the first quarter phase of the lunar month, which means that last week we had the new moon, new beginnings, and any new perspectives or new things that have come into your life since then, it could be a really good week to challenge ourselves towards and really ground and implement. So with this coming into the week, we have Mars squaring Saturn still, which we may have felt over the previous weekend. Good for taking a responsible and long-term approach to things. We have a lot of aspects between Venus and Mercury, so it could be a week of emphasizing maybe relating, relationships, and enjoying things and enjoying what we value in life, as well as perhaps communication and learning. All right, and then at the end of the week, we have some aspects with those as well we'll talk about. And we'll do a quick weekly recap in terms of where all the planets are placed here this week. All right, so let's take a look at all this as well as a weekly recap here in more detail when we return. All right, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting with Monday and going through Sunday. So again, if you are new to the channel, definitely check out the link down below. The signs are different from mainstream astrology. On the channel, we're using what's called true sidereal astrology, which is essentially the equivalent of looking up at the sky and seeing exactly where all the planets are placed. But in mainstream astrology, they don't use the actual size of the constellations, so you will notice the signs are different. And so again, if you are new, definitely check out that link down below for more information. All right, so let's go and start with the weekly recap to see where things are in the larger picture sense and where we've had energy these surrounding weeks. Starting first with the Sun and Mercury still in Leo. Generally all week, as it has been, is still a good time of focusing on having some fun, maybe some playful energy, some self-expression, just doing the things that we love and focusing on those things in the sense of what gives us energy and life force, which is Leo. Now Mercury here as well suggests that it could be how we're thinking and communicating as well, maybe in a bit more of the fiery sense, which is again great to develop. Now we do have Venus still in Gemini, so the enjoyment is still around perhaps learning or sharing information with others. So a great time of communication, maybe in those one-on-one relationships and connections. Again, a big week for this we'll talk about, but enjoying the more exchanging elements of life, whether it's with others through sharing information or for ourselves, learning, right? Learning things, synthesizing knowledge could be very enjoyable with Venus here. And then lastly, we still have, of course, Mars in Pisces. He's gearing up for his retrograde soon. So it is still good to be receptive when it comes to the things we want in life, right? To take action and assert ourselves. It's a great week for that, like I was saying, to implement things, but in such a way that we are surrendering what's outside of our control. We are listening to the currents of life, the more etheric energy, and putting energy towards the flow. And if there are any ideals that we have, of course, it's good to put motivation energy towards those ideals, but again, with that receptive approach to things. All right, and then like I said, the most important thing is that we are in the first quarter phase, which is usually where we come to the first challenges of the lunar month. And this would be in the context of any new beginnings from earlier last week. And so if anything new has come into your sphere of awareness or new perspectives or perhaps literally new things, it's a great week to challenge ourselves to implement those energies. And it really all starts here on Monday in that context, because on Monday we do have Mars, the planet of our drives and needs, in a square up to Saturn, which represents patience and discipline. And so if you've been feeling this energy approaching Monday, then it's still a great way of working with this whole early part of the week in the sense of seeing how we can take things for the long term. What's not necessarily going to benefit us for the short term, but what's better for the long term. And in this way, it becomes very constructive. It could be a great week of implementing any long-term plans anything we want to build for the future. That might take some time, might take some patience, but we can certainly put in that grounded approach to taking action, which makes it very, very constructive here on this early part of the week. If there are any limitations or things that, will take some time, again, maybe needing to realign those needs and desires towards the more long term could be great. All right, and also here on Monday, as a backdrop, there could be themes around finding some balance in our life with the moon in Libra, which is essentially about seeing both sides of the coin, right? If there's anything that we can take a more centered approach with and create more balance in our life, it could be great on Monday, as well as perhaps some themes around creating balance in relating, maybe some themes around doing the right thing, what is just, fair, and right, and finding balance in those one-on-one connections. All right, and then as we start to get into Tuesday here, this is where we start to have these aspects with Mercury and Venus. Mercury will be in great aspect to Uranus, giving us perhaps a very inquisitive mind, willing to think outside the box, willing to think about things a little bit more in terms of what excites us, and maybe getting outside of our comfort zone a little bit, maybe mixing up that routine a little bit on Tuesday could be great. And also in those communications, if there's anything there, we might just notice that there's a little bit more of a freeing energy with our communications, a little more of a need to express our true self, our uniqueness, on our unorthodoxy, things like that. It's very progressive energy, certainly available with our mind and communication. And this is certainly in the context of relationships, because Venus, the planet of relationships, is going to be opposite Jupiter. So maybe Tuesday we could be seeing maybe some potentials, some things we're open-minded about in regards to relating with others, which can give us a good buoyant and sort of open mind in those relationships. So great to connect here all around Tuesday in this way, both mixing things up, getting outside of our comfort zone, and expanding our perception about what we do enjoy in life and our relationships, and really maybe just enjoying some valuable relaxation or comforts or nature or the resources of life could also be quite supportive. So nice energy there on Tuesday in that context as we start to ease up off of some of that more grounding energy of the patience from Monday. And on Tuesday, we start to slowly enter into a bit of a deeper energy with the moon going into Scorpio the later part of the day for most of us. And so on Tuesday, with all that, relating and communicative emphasis, good to, really excavate the deeper dimensions of things. Maybe the deeper dimensions of those relationships or connections, maybe about ourselves, maybe doing some healing or some psychology awareness about ourselves. Good to dive deep just in general, really for this whole middle part of the week, even going into Wednesday. Because as we do get into Wednesday, the moon will then slowly shift into healing Ophiuchus, maybe the later part of Wednesday, starting to emphasize more of the healing energies. How can we take those deeper dimensions and maybe do some healing for ourselves and others? And then as we start to get into Thursday, we do have Venus trining Neptune. Again, very supportive for those one-on-one connections. We might be quite compassionate, quite receptive in those relationships, quite unconditional in a easy and supportive way. So it could be a bit, maybe romantic if it's on that level, but just in all of our relationships, really doing what's important to us on a soul level, and a nice link there. And probably seeing how we can enjoy a little bit more of that going with the flow kind of energy and be a little bit more receptive and see how everything does happen in divine timing. And there's more, it's easier to have more presence, easier to have more acceptance, and just a more, again, compassionate and receptive approach in general. All right, and with that energy here on Thursday, the very later part of Thursday, but more so as we get into Friday, we come out of that deeper energy of the sky with Scorpio and Ophiuchus and start to get into a little bit more of the expansive energy. In fact, for pretty much almost the whole rest of the week, so from late Thursday all the way through Saturday, great to get into some maybe adventurousness, maybe some of that free-spiritedness of Sagittarius to expand our horizons, see the bigger picture, right? Some of that fire and spirit there. And also great for more abstract things like spirituality, astrology, philosophy, more of the right side of the brain, abstract kind of energies for pretty much the rest of the week there. All right, so that's going to take us into the weekend. And then when we do get to Saturday, again, good harmony with Mercury, the planet of communication, trining up to Jupiter. So great to be willing to learn. I think there's going to be a good balance between that more concrete and rational and practical side of ourselves with the more free-spirited and abstract. Really good for taking, things in the more abstract realm and grounding them. So if it is spirituality or if it is philosophy or more abstract, higher perspectives on things, it's a great day, particularly on Saturday, for implementing it tangibly, maybe doing some writing, maybe going out communicating a little bit, sharing some knowledge and information. All in all, very good harmony there with that kind of energy. And then Sunday has a bit of different energy from the rest of the week, perhaps a little bit more challenging, which is Venus is going to be opposite up to Pluto and Mercury opposite up to Neptune. Oppositions aren't that challenging, but it is important to remember the elements of balance. And in this case, when it does come to our relationships on Sunday, good to dive deep, be willing to, have trust in relationships, intimacy, have that deeper connection, but within balance. At the same time, have healthy boundaries, have a good sense of what our needs are and our desires are, balancing that with others' needs and others' desires. Because sometimes with this, it can be like one side of us is wanting to get really deep, but then another side is just simply wanting to enjoy and connect. So how can we, dive deep at the same time, just enjoy the more everyday kind of easier energy with it and find balance with the deeper dimensions. But nonetheless, great day on Sunday for diving deep and doing all that Pluto deeper connection, but with conscious intention. With Mercury, there could be a little bit of uncertainty with the mind. Mercury opposite Neptune, that watery energy. So our imagination might be quite strong. We may have a side of ourselves that may want to escape a little bit. So finding balance with that. How can we have healthy peace in our life, healthy ways of escaping, so to speak, and healthy receptivity when it comes to what we're thinking about. But all in all, it could be a very constructive day for all things involving spirituality, healing, deep diving, right? Because Pluto and Neptune do deal with the very deeper dimensions of the human experience and of life, both in the sense of what's deeply important to us with Pluto, and also, how we can perhaps cultivate some of these dreams and ideals or some more peace in our life in constructive ways. All right, and then on Sunday, we will have the moon in Capricorn, which will be emphasizing going into next week about perhaps starting to get into some maybe achievement kind of energy, maybe some productivity, some healthy self-limitation to see how we can, kind of like in the earlier part of the week on Monday, see what takes time and put in time, patience, and discipline into the longer term with the moon in Capricorn. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. A lot going on, but really, simply put, this whole week is really good to challenge ourselves. It's the first first quarter square, which is about really implementing the things from last week and really buckling down to do that. But in terms of the aspects, they're quite supportive. Coming out of Monday a bit with that patience and discipline needed, but for pretty much the whole rest of the week until about Sunday, just all in all, some easy aspects, easier to work with aspects, with particularly the relating aspects of Venus, and also the communication and learning aspects of ourself with Mercury. And then of course, the very end of the week on Sunday, just finding the balance with those things, diving deep with those things, and being more receptive in life, getting some rest, balancing rest, spiritual, what's important on a spiritual level and soul level kind of an energy, and seeing the long term with the moon in Capricorn there. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't yet. If you're not part of the MTZ Insiders community yet, there is a link down below. It's absolutely free. You can sign up there and get some extra videos. We just had a webinar yesterday, actually, going through how to actually read birth charts and stuff. So good content there, videos, group events, things like that. So definitely subscribe for the newsletter. But yeah, have a great one, and I'll see you all next time for the next weekly forecast. Take care.